On this episode of Science with Shields, we're going to find out what melts ice the fastest.
We are beautiful science, compliance, baby, you and me, a cosmic alliance, defiance.
Hey everyone, it is meteorologist Christy Shields. So we're going to see what melts ice the fastest. It's going to be an experiment because, you know what, we've already had some icy conditions here in central Pennsylvania this winter and some ice storms as well. So what's the best thing to put on our icy sidewalks? So we're going to figure that out today. So what I have here is some cold water. I've also got hot, steamy water. We've got our ice cubes, which you'll need. We've got salt and sugar. So the sugar, salt, as well as the hot water and the cold water, we're going to put on an ice cube and see over the span of an hour which one helps melt that ice. So what we first want to do here is we're going to write on our cups, where we're going to stick one ice cube in each cup, what is going to be the mixture in that. So the first one we want to write is the control, which means we're not going to do anything to the ice cube that goes into the control. So we've got that written here. The next one we're going to write is hot water. So I'm going to write hot, H2O. Then we have cold, H2O. So we've got our cold water. We have sugar. And we have the salts. Now next, what we're going to do is we're going to stick an ice cube in each one of these. So I'm going to stick my ice cubes in. And also, if you don't have little Dixie cups that you can use for this experiment, you can also use a pan that you can make cupcakes in or something like that, and you can stick an ice cube in each one of those. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stick 1 tablespoon of each thing into it. So the first one we're going to do is the salt. So I'm going to measure out a tablespoon of salt, and we're going to stick that here on the ice cube. Okay, we'll see how that one goes. The next one is sugar. So like I said, we're going to take a tablespoon of sugar and pour it on. Here you go. We've got our sugar. And this is why it's important to label your items, because salt and sugar kind of have the same look, and so does cold and hot water. So the next one is cold water. I'm going to take a tablespoon and stick on the ice cube. And our last one is the hot water, and we will stick that on the ice cube here. All right, and then we have our control, and remember, we're not doing anything with this. And you let it sit, and you want to check back on your ice cubes at 15 minutes, a half an hour, and then at an hour, and we'll see what melts our ice fastest. Okay, so it's now been an hour and we've been letting our ice cubes melt with the different things on top of them. And we did check back in a half an hour, and you can see that photo here I'm going to show you. So if we take a look into our cups, the control definitely melted the slowest. You really can't see much in the control. Now the hot water is completely melted almost. Now, but think about it. If we put hot water on ice outside, eventually that hot water is going to refreeze, right? So probably not our best solution to use on the sidewalk. The cold water really didn't melt it, obviously. It's almost close to the control. Now the sugar melted it a little bit, but again, that ice cube is pretty solid, but the salt really did melt the ice cube. Now what happens with the salt compared to the sugar is that the salt creates this solution, and it's going to lower the freezing point of the water. So salt doesn't actually make the ice hot or melted. It's making that water colder. But what happens is it's going to make that freezing point, which typically is 32 degrees, but when the water and the salt mix together, it makes it have a lower freezing point. So when you stick that on your sidewalk, it will take longer, and that temperature has to drop below a certain point, and it's not 32 degrees to create the ice. So this is usually the best solution, is to stick salt on sidewalks and on your driveway to make sure that it melts. Again, you can use the salt that you can buy at the hardware store, the grocery store, because table salt won't melt it too fast. So that was a fun experiment. Again, showing you the difference of how this all melts and what works best for you to use on your sidewalks. And you can check out more episodes of Science with Shields if you head over to WTAJ Plus.